All right. Thanks so much.
All right. You're up.
Sorry, I forgot to unmute.
There
That's
we go.
fine. I think you're probably seeing the right screen
Yeah, we're
now.
seeing the launcher.
Yes. Okay, wonderful. Okay, so oh no, this is the same thing that happened last time, and anyway, doesn't matter. I don't need my notes. I'm fine without them. Right. So that was a great talk, by the way. Thank you so much for that. I did indeed use that random selection in The Trouble with Earl Grey. But this talk I feel flows really nicely after Flo's talk, no pun intended, because it focuses on one specific kind of feeling that I wanted to convey. So I'm just going to get started. And that was basically to make my game feel like this. And the game that I'm going to kind of look at is Stranded Hearts, which is a Eurojam game from 4 years ago, still in development. And it's a survival sim that features a female protagonist with 2 love interests who crash land and have to survive on a tropical island, which probably sounds very cozy and romantic and sunny. But no, survival is harsh, and I wanted the player to experience that. So my first challenge was to create story gameplay harmony, which in another word can also be called ludonarrative harmony. Okay, we have visual novels that are really good at giving the player full control over the flow, and they're kind of quite a low key in terms of kind of in the vanilla flavor. From a gameplay perspective, you're just clicking through, you're making choices. There's some layers in terms of the types of choices that you make, but it's not a shooter, it's not an RPG. So generally speaking, you're not going to be experiencing this an awful lot.
Hold
so
on.
That was.
Oh. I'm seeing just the RenPy launcher. Do you have slides or?
Oh no! Oh no! That is what is going on. I see something.
I feel good
on my screen. What is going on? Okay, what if I do this? Do you now see something?
You might have been sharing just the window instead of the screen.
What am I? Oh my god! I'm doing everything wrong. This is terrible. What is?
It's fine. We'll give you more time. It'll be fine.
No, it says more. It says monitor 1. What do you see right now when I do this? Do you see my desktop?
Yes, just the desktop. Yes. And then if you click, nothing.
What do you see now? Nothing.
Oh,
okay. You know what? I'm gonna change it to windowed. Right. Do you see something now?
Yes.
Okay. Right. Well, that's fine. What I'll do is I'll switch it to clean. Goodness me. Oh no, I feel I'm completely thrown off track now. I'm going to go back to the start. Right. So I'll just click through very quickly. This is the feeling I'm after, okay, guys? That's the feeling I got right now. The case study, Stranded Hearts, protagonist, 2 love interests on an island, and then harsh survival, okay? So visual novels are generally, quite a tame sort of experience. So it was quite hard to turn them into this. And I had, I'd covered sort of the cerebral side with taking inspiration from sort of dating sims, but this is like really harsh stat management. So if you don't do it right, within a few days, you die. So you have to really think about your choices. And that kind of covers the really, as I say, the really cerebral side. But then on the other hand, I had also choices like this. So this is from the beginning of the game. It's not a spoiler. The plane is crashing. You're the pilot, and you have to decide what you do. You need to find the correct solution. Now, if you are the protagonist, you're Aina, then you need to make this decision within a fraction of a second. Whereas for the player, they have all the time of the world. And I think you might know where I'm going with this, because in essence, this was never going to be sorry, I was going to say this is a ludonarrative dissonance, it's called. It means that what the protagonist is experiencing and the player is experiencing aren't the same thing. And to bring them together, well, there is only one choice really, and that is time choices. And I imagine that most people in chat right now are feeling a bit like this, because if you mention time choices to most people within VNs or a lot of kind of narrative spheres, they are not liked at all. Okay. And I think that's with good reason, because most of the time we want to sit there, we want to ponder these decisions, because we want to think about, you know, if I do A, what are the outcomes going to be? And you want to have time to think on it. But I would like to challenge that notion, okay? And I'll do it a little bit with Earl Grey. He's going to help me out to refresh your memory from the talk I did last year, which is that there are choices where you need to think, and I call them dilemmas. That's where you have kind of good and bad combined together, and you need to weigh up which one you want. So let's take a look at an example here, which is that you can either commit murder and marry Earl Grey, or you could save a life, but Earl Grey is going to hate you. Okay, so I don't know if chat wants to make some suggestions as to commit murder. Right, murder to marry. Okay, right, let's do that. Okay, so Earl Grey advises us not to make dilemmas time choices. Okay. However, you also have this type of choice where you're just hunting for the correct answer. Okay, there'll be bad ones and there's a good one, and you know, Earl Grey's offering you a poisonous apple, a delicious healthy salad, or rancid meat. You know, it's pretty quick to make the right decision, and I'm sure the chat will not disappoint like you did last year and choose something completely ridiculous. But I'm going to go with delicious healthy salad, which Earl Grey isn't going to give us anyway. So. Right, goodbye, Earl Grey. Thank you very much for the support. That's exactly the type of choice we're talking about here. There's a little bit more text that came before here, but by the time that the player comes to this choice, it's pretty clear that you don't want to panic and push every button, right? So you're kind of looking for the right solution here. And that was the kind of choice that I wanted to make feel like this through time choices. But without time, it was going to just feel a bit like that, right? It's just not as exciting as having the adrenaline shock of a time choice. So my second challenge was to maximize AAAAH potential, which is totally the official term for that, by the way. So this is directly from the game. This is the very first version of the implementation of this. And I just mocked it up quickly. There we go. There's the timed bar going down. And you have to kind of find the right answer. Fairly straightforward, but I wasn't getting the full kind of adrenaline kick from that, and I couldn't quite figure out why. So I thought, you know what, how about I make it faster? Okay, should we see what happens if you make it faster? Okay, that's what happens if you make it faster. So it kind of felt more or less the same, except it did have another potential dimension, which is it was kind of inviting that I don't like timed choices sort of feeling, because it's frustrating. You didn't have enough time to think about even like just read what it was. So I started looking at what other games have done. This is an example from The Walking Dead, where they have a timed bar at the bottom. The Witcher, similar kind of time bar. There were lots of other games I looked at, and it got me thinking about what it is that makes those better than what I had. And I thought, why don't I try it out in my game with a a horizontal bar as well, and see how it feels different. And you know what? It changed my view on it completely. What I realized was, if you have something that moves across quite quickly, it feels intense. It feels really intense. If it's a small little square, round, you know, not very impressive thing that is moving, and it moves slowly, even if the relative time is fast, it doesn't matter, because you won't get the same feeling. You could have 10 seconds and it would feel really exciting if it moves quickly across the screen. So then actually people asked to see some of Sasquatchy/Laura's UI. This is Laura's UI, and she created this gorgeous hourglass. And the beauty of this is that you basically get 10 seconds to make this decision, which is plenty of time to engage with it, or perhaps even 15 in the game. And yet, because you have two moving elements in there and it is relatively spread out, it feels really intense and exciting. Okay, I got the feeling that I was after. So that is the simple trick that I want to convey to you guys. If you want to make a time choice feel really exciting, by all means, make it go from, from the left screen over and across and down on the other side or something, because you could then have 30 seconds to make that decision, but it would still feel exciting because the movement is constantly happening. Right, and that's my talk. If you want to find me, I'm at SteamGirlGame on Twitter, and you can find my visual novels on itch.io under Dreamgate Games. And if you have any questions, just send them to me directly, because I don't think we'll have time for any questions. So thanks, everyone.
Yeah, I'm just bumping all the talks by 5 minutes until the next break, which is fine. We only have a couple more talks. So we do have some time for like 1 or 2 questions if anyone's got anything. I'm just kind of like scanning. You guys have gotten really good at putting the little question marks on questions, and it's kind of awesome. So someone's asking, what about invisible timers?
I would need a little more context for that, as in you don't know that a choice is on a timer. I think if that was the case, if I'm imagining what I think you're saying, is that you probably wouldn't get the adrenaline kick from it, because as a player you would naturally assume that you just have all the time in the world, and then you kind of get shocked by the fact that it was invisible, if that's the question.
Mm-hmm. Right. And yeah, I think he's saying, okay, time choice, you can see. Okay, perhaps animation. Okay, so someone's asking, perhaps a lot of work, but animation as a timer, as in like the plane is heading toward water and the water's actually getting closer and closer.
Yeah, that sounds great. It also sounds like a lot of work if you want to do that across the entire game. There's a lot of time choices in, say, this game in terms of survival. So I'll give you another example from earlier in the slides. So you might your foot is on its way to step onto a poisonous starfish, and you have to kind of not step on it correctly. Yeah, you could totally kind of have that get closer and closer, maybe with some impending doom music. But yeah, sounds like a lot of work.
Let's see. Cool. All right. Cypher, I'm going to hand you presenter mode.
All right.
Can I just say the chat is evil for even considering
the chat is always
evil things with
You've learned from last time that we will pick probably the ostensibly worst choice because it's a choice.
Is this currently showing my presentation,
Yes.
or is it currently showing my other monitor?
It's showing your presentation, though you got okay, the shadow's gone. Cool. So we see presentation. I do have your taskbar on the bottom, but that's fine.
It's fine.